Good morning, Wabash. Today, speaking at Pioneer Chapel is Dayem Adnan with his talk entitled State of the Campus. Dayem is the 103rd student body president of Wabash College, a brother of Tau Kappa Epsilon and a native of Pakistan. He is a senior political science major and has served in numerous roles on campus, such as Secretary of Sons of Wabash, Vice President of International Students Association, Chairman of Diversity and Inclusion Committee, and a Senator for the class of 2020. As a political science major, he takes a special interest in constitutional designs, with the U.S. Constitution being his favorite so far. Please join me in welcoming Dayem.
Good morning, Wabash. First, I'd like to thank the Swings Club for giving me the honor to partake in this beautiful tradition. I'd also like to thank all the students, faculty, staff, alumni, and all those members of the Wabash community who I owe so much to over the last few years. Now, I can't start my talk with the cliche sentence when I was approached to give this talk, because truth be told, I've been thinking about it 2 days after the election results came out, and certainly long before anyone approached me about it. Having said that, as a senior political science major, whose first full draft of the senior paper is due tomorrow, I did not write the speech until late last night. Which works in the favor of the person who's going to give their talk next week, because the bar will be set very low. But beyond my own academic struggles, there is another, more valid reason as to why I did not write this speech long ago. It's because the state of our campus is so fluid. It's a living being, the culmination of every experience shared by every member of the Wabash community. Their struggles and successes, their dreams and desires, their fears and frustrations. It's a constantly evolving ideal of community built around a concrete framework of history and tradition. In short, it is the spirit of Wabash. I feel the idea of Wabash's spirit is best illustrated by an anecdote dating back to the fall of 2016. I had just arrived at Wabash, and my freshman tutorial was taught by none other than the then Dean of Students, Michael P. Raiders. Those of you who knew Dean Raiders probably remember an old tradition of his. He always said he could predict the outcome of the Monon Bell game the Thursday before it happened. He liked to say there was a method to his madness. According to him, our sense of campus unity leading up to the game always determined how well our team played. That year in particular was difficult for Wabash. The campus was divided by the 2016 election. Students were frustrated about campus-wide tragedies, and morale was at its lowest in recent memory. So when Dean Raiders told my tutorial class about his special skill, he also said that those factors meant that we would lose the Bell game. Of course, when he said this, I didn't take him seriously. We had won all 7 games since 2009. Why would this year be any different? I couldn't understand what the problems he mentioned had to do with a football game. So I chalked it up to another crazy Wabash tradition and waited for the game, knowing that we will win for the 8th year in a row. That Saturday, I watched the Monon Bell game with hundreds of my peers right here on our home field. And that Saturday, I watched us lose our first Bell game in 8 years. It seemed like Dean Raiders really was onto something. The state of our campus, the spirit of Wabash, the collective feelings of the student body, whatever you may call it, has an impact that goes far beyond social niceties. It affects each and every one of us in everything from academics to mental health to losing a football game. So today, I'd like to take the opportunity for us to reflect on our past so we may acknowledge where we stand in the present, so we can look at what we are doing right and what we can do better. For while we are making great improvements in some areas, the current state of the campus leaves much to be desired. Now, don't get me wrong, as an institution, we're in good financial shape. Thanks to the leadership of President Hess, we are moving away from the budgetary challenges we've faced since the '08 recession. As other smaller liberal art colleges continue to shut down year after year, we have turned things around and taken steps that will ensure our survival into the next century. The initiative to reduce the draw from our endowment to 5.5% has been an ambitious and successful one. We've done this as we expand our program offerings by introducing 2 new majors to campus and offering competitive financial aid packages, while keeping costs, such as room and board, lower than our GLCA peers. So in these respects, we are entering a new era of fiscal security. We need to recognize that good financial choices have ensured the survival of dear old Wabash for years to come. But these decisions are not always easy. And from a student's perspective, there are times where they seem to overshadow the spirit of Wabash. Money is important, of course, but it's a means to an end. Our mission is what matters. That is to say, our self-driven desire to think critically, act responsibly, lead effectively, and live humanely reigns supreme. So without a doubt, there are some aspects of campus culture where fiscal pragmatism takes a backseat. In recent years, the pursuit of savings has sometimes affected us in a negative way, not always. For instance, budget cuts, among other factors, have impacted social life across campus, from fraternities to student government. Parties and events that promote campus unity have felt smaller, even non-existent. This has reduced our connectedness, which in turn has resulted in a steady decline of participation in campus events. Some might argue that this is because students are just not interested in the culture of Wabash anymore. Troublesome thought that at an institution that prides itself on student engagement. But these claims fall flat on their face at the slightest examination. Just look at our student election turnout. In a highly competitive race where both tickets promise to address student concerns, 72% of eligible voters cast their ballots, one of the highest voter turnouts in the country, beating DePaul by 40%. And when the college did away with a tradition like sheepskin diplomas, hundreds of students packed into this chapel on a Tuesday night in a midterms week, no less, and aired their grievances with the administration. Let me be clear. This issue does not lie with student engagement. The discrepancies we see indicate structural problems that directly impact student life, and we, as students, share part of the blame. As Dean Redding once said, Wabash is ever evolving. That is our history. I agree. Over the years, we have gained and lost traditions organically, everything from an annual day off called Elmore Day to a freshman-sophomore scrap. And in these turbulent times, we must learn to quickly adapt with the developing idea of Wabash's culture. For us to do this, we must also ensure that an atmosphere of dialogue is present and that our experiences are not increasingly dictated by those in power. As students, we must hold our representatives accountable, whether that might be the president of the student body or the president of this college. And if these leaders fall short of their expectations, we, the students, should voice our discontent and push back. Because as long as even one student cares about the state of this campus, this student body is alive, and with it, the underlying concept that breathes life into all our traditions, past and present, which is student autonomy. We are an institution built on collaboration between all facets of our community, and the physical representation of this agreement hangs in Center Hall, the constitution of the student body, signed by the president of the college. It is symbolic representation of a promise made regarding our student-centered approach, that Wabash is driven by her students. And when that promise comes under threat, that very constitution should serve as a symbol of our pushback, for Wabash always fights. So let us recognize that Wabash is a special place. Our differences are our strengths. Our all-male student body, the gentleman's rule, and focus on student autonomy separate us from the pack of liberal art colleges. We pride ourselves on our unique identity. Suffice to say, changes that happen at other institutions would not necessarily transfer well to Wabash. Other colleges have a very different structure and many other aspects that balance that relationship. So what are we doing to foster our unique campus culture? The college is doing a student life review, which is heavily focused on feedback from our community, especially students. We have bi-weekly meetings of the Dean's President's Council, where student representatives meet with the Dean of Students to find solutions to the problems facing our community while enhancing our college experience. I also have weekly meetings with Dean Redding on the off weeks that Dean's President's Council does not meet. The student body treasurer will now sit on the college's budget planning committee, so future fiscal decisions are better communicated. And President Hess has so graciously offered a monthly meeting to discuss the big picture approach of our Wabash. Our efforts are not limited to working with the college administration. As student leadership, we have tasked a student engagement team to go around, living unit to living unit, and ask what our annual big event, National Act, looks for them. We will empower this body to practice participatory budgeting, where students will be able to weigh in and directly spend a portion of the funds available for this event toward whatever they see fit. And that is not all. We have tasked an advisor on campus issues who is actively taking feedback from the student body through an easily accessible box in the library, then working to address those concerns with the relevant authorities. We have appointed an advisor on off-campus affairs to help us learn from Wabash's peers and to strengthen our relationship between our communities so we may collaborate with them on future endeavors. We've tasked the Commission on Economy and Efficiency to look at past year's budgets to see how we can maximize our benefits and give us ideas on what to prioritize in years to come. So I feel I should end by saying this. As a student body, we are capable of great things, incredible things. We are what defines the spirit of Wabash and what makes this college a truly remarkable institution, nearly 2 centuries after our founders kneeled in the snow way back in 1832. But if we stop caring, if we give up our autonomy for the safety of complacency and sacrifice our traditions for the sake of blending in with other institutions, we will lose everything that makes Wabash truly great. During our ringing in ceremony, President Hess told us to stand tall, to think critically, act responsibly, lead effectively, and live humanely. And now, as we face a time of inner turmoil, with the outside world looking toward us to find the slightest bit of mistake that we may make, it is crucial that we remember our mission, for it is then that we will truly become one Wabash. Thank you.